Hi, Alex.
Hi. Um, Good evening and welcome to the CASAA update for the week of 7/27/2015. Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm okay. So I hate to ask you what's been going on, but I guess I'm going to.
Well, this is one of those, I guess we're in a rare window here where there isn't a whole lot going on,
Yeah.
at least from my desk, which I told you in the little
Yeah.
Skype chat. I don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight, so
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a horrible thing, but
It's
it's
kind of nice.
we could all be a little bit concerned when things are quiet, calm before storm, and all that.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely true. And you know what I kind of noticed? It kind of seems like everybody has kind of noticed that there's a law now that you can't really sell e-liquid without a license, and everybody's up in arms about it. They're like, I didn't see anything on any of the CASAA pages about it. I'm like, really? Did you not read the call to action about Alabama?
Oh, the
Yeah.
or is that Arkansas?
Arkansas, Alabama.
Arkansas.
I
Yeah.
am, I have to tell you, Jim, before I mute my microphone, I'm sorry, I forgot.
It's okay.
I have to tell you that the amount of people bitching about advocacy groups here in the last few days is really, really bothering me. You know, everybody's, well, why didn't this advocacy group do something about this? Or why didn't this advocacy group do something? I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh,
I don't, I don't think that people really understand that an advocacy group is there to teach you how to fight for yourself and how to stand up for yourself. They're not there to fight this fight for you. And I've had this argument for a week now, and it's really starting to make me crazy.
well, I mean, there are not all that many of us in CASAA, I would say, that are able to do things like Alex and Julie can do. And there are only so many of us to go around. We don't get paid. Now, I can't tell you how much sleep I know Alex lost while he was trying to work last year and do this stuff.
This year.
This year. Yeah.
I know it
Well,
seems like a year, but
it does seem like a year.
it's only been 7 months.
Yeah, but I can't tell you how much sleep he's lost and Julie's lost. And people aren't just jumping up to volunteer and do this stuff. You get contact information for these people and try to figure out how best to help people craft letters to people in their counties and their cities and warn them about ordinances. I mean, when I first started, it was enough to post a story about a possible ordinance, and you post it in any vaping advocacy group now, and people just kind of meh. And then they post about something else like a wireless laptop battery exploding, and everybody's like, see, it's not just e-cigs. Well, okay, but this town is talking about banning vaping outdoors. Just thought you'd want to know. People really are not picking up on that because they're not really reading the stories, and not even not reading them with a critical eye. They're not reading them at all. That's a problem.
Well,
If you don't know
probably
what's... Go ahead.
it's something. Sorry to interrupt, but I guess Arkansas being the outrage of the day for last week or whatever, is that was a special circumstance, not unprecedented, but certainly something unique that we've seen this year. And for all of the people that are sort of caught off guard by this new law, it's I think to some extent we all probably expected some of this reaction. Just to give everybody a little bit of background, so we didn't have a whole lot of time to get the word out about this. We were tracking the bill I can't even remember it off the top. It was like 978 or something like that. So
Right.
we were tracking the bill when it was introduced, but when it was introduced, it was just a shell bill. It's what's called a shell bill. There's no real
Right.
substance to it. There's just sort of a brief description. In this case, just as an example, says we're going to regulate electronic cigarettes. That's essentially it. And then it sat like that for months. Nothing happened with it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, we get, our tracking info comes back, and it's a huge bill. Like overnight, this thing has tens of pages to it, and there are all kinds of regulations that it's proposing, and it's just bad, bad, bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to committee in 2 days. There's not much you can do about that. And we found ourselves in a conversation with a lobbyist on the ground, somebody who was doing this pro bono,
Mm-hmm.
who had, negotiated things down to some extent. The problem is that this person essentially did this on their own. There was no contacting with us or other national groups.
Right.
This guy went in. I don't think alone is the appropriate characterization, but by comparison to the amount of help that this person honestly had access to, they essentially went in alone. And so by the time we're reading this bill, everything's set in stone. And people may or may not remember, Greg Conley hopped on a plane. I was at an event with Greg and Cynthia in South Jersey. And, during the day, I'm sitting there, I'm chatting back and forth with people trying to figure out what's going on in Arkansas. And we get down there, and Greg is saying, I have to hop on a plane tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to get down to Arkansas to go testify. I mean, it wasn't that people didn't do anything. It's that we didn't have time to react. And something else that everybody really needs to keep in mind is that this is the first nightmare year of all of this legislation.
Yeah,
even though we have national advocacy groups, we have vendor organizations, and we have big companies, some of these people can afford the lobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one lobbyist here, another lobbyist here. It's not, there isn't a massive organization of vapor lobbyists that are actually able to affect change in these proposed, bills.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I think Pamela Gorman actually laid this out when I was at something in Los Angeles. And, she said, they have one lobbyist at the table.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys have several. So you're talking about one vapor lobbyist at the table with several from tobacco companies, from pharmaceutical companies, from the healthy lifestyles industry, but then you just got one little vapor lobbyist from one e-cigarette company at the table in California.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're outgunned, we're outnumbered at just about every turn.
Oh, yeah. Anytime any sort of victory manages to get through, I mean, it's a huge thing. And that only happens because people participate. But when I tell you people aren't paying attention, they're not. You've seen the stuff I read every day. You know what I read every day because you get what I read every day. So you know how stuff ends up in local papers. And I think people wrongly assume that these advocacy groups are just huge and there's tons of people in them. There's not. There's very few people in them.
Like 50,000 members. That means there's 50,000 people helping, and that is just.
No, if all of our membership donated $1 a month, we'd be able to pay a couple of full-time staff people, honestly. But we haven't. I should dial that back a little bit. We aren't actively fundraising for a paid staff person. We're still working out the kinks on being able to
Yeah.
aggressively do that. But right now, the only thing we're fundraising for is the research fund, which
Yeah,
is
I'm
actually going well.
well, and I think a lot of the stuff, a lot of the stuff CASAA does is not big and sexy. You know what I mean? It's not a big sexy ad campaign. It's not a big sexy video campaign. It's drudgery. It's drudgery. That's what we do. We do the stuff that's laborious and drudgerous. And we do a lot of it. And I think people just, I don't know whether they're overwhelmed or what, but go ahead.
You, me, Julie, and Carl and other board members, we do the slogging it out in the trenches and writing copy and editing documents and researching bills, and that's the stuff that's not so sexy. But by the time it gets to the general membership and any consumer who's willing to spend less than 3 minutes to point and click, it's fairly straightforward. We need some personal information, and you need to click a button and perhaps edit a letter to your lawmaker. We've done a lot of that unsexy work to make it easy for people. We have an Instagram account. There's not scantily clad women pimping devices and juices, but it's still there's pictures.
I noticed this the other day, and by the way, I think it's really sad that you have to do this, but thank you to whatever board member at CASAA decided that I needed to get a thank you note from CASAA thanking me for submitting my comments to the state of Pennsylvania to fight the legislation that they're trying to push through on me. I think that it is very, very sad that you guys had to sit down and craft out a thank you note for the people that you did the favor for. But yeah, thanks for the letter.
Well, actually, thank you. It's that was you're talking about the call to action where it's sending a thank you letter to your Congress, your state legislators.
You sent out a call to action for people to submit comments to the state, and I did. And the next thing I know, I get this nice little thank you from CASAA for standing up for my damn self.
Actually, just in the spirit of credit where credit's due, Chris Hughes, actually from Pennsylvania SFATA, passed that along to us, and they were told by their lobbyists that was a good idea, and so that we actually need reminders in order to do those things, because it's an important follow-up in any of these states where we've seen something along the lines of victory. I say that with reservations, but anytime we see any positive movement, we should be sending thank you letters to all of these legislators. I have a list. I have about 7,000 people that signed our thank you letter to Speaker Boehner, and we still need to get that out. So it's really we spend so much time fighting against stuff. It is actually very difficult to take a step back and say thank you. So thank you, Jeannie, for for bringing that up.
Well, for everybody who does it, thank you for taking the time to do it. Thank you for caring.
Can you hear me rolling my eyes at you? Can you hear that?
No. No, but I mean, and I think it's probably right too, because as much as I sit here and go, people don't read, people don't pay attention, there's a large volume of people who pay attention, who care, who do the right things and try to encourage others to do the right thing. And we don't say thank you to those people. So really, sincerely, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to help you.
Yeah, and to get to maybe the current events. Right now, the only current call to action. Well, we have several current calls to action, but at the state level, the most recent one that is going to be very relevant next week is Alabama, which we sort of, well, anyway, so Alabama, thank yous in order. We have 300 some odd new members in Alabama who have taken action. So thank you to the 378 people in Alabama that sent letters to their state legislators, and I will probably send out another email blast tomorrow. But for those that don't know, Alabama is looking at a 25-cent per milliliter tax at the behest of the government or the governor, looking to shore up some budget shortfalls there. And the Alabama legislature is coming back into special session starting Monday, August 3rd. So that will be a fight worth watching and, of course, participating in. We now have 1,300 people on our list from Alabama. So there's about 1,000 more folks that should send their letters. And there's some advocacy group. There is an advocacy group on the ground in Alabama that's working close. I assume that they are having conversations with important decision makers. So if the Breathe Easier Alliance of Alabama, I believe. And so they're worth following if you're in Alabama. But yeah, that's the important thing to promote. And of course, since we're talking about, I guess, positive things that lawmakers need to hear, it would be testimonials. On more than one occasion, we've heard from the local folks that they've had conversations with lawmakers in their state, and what the lawmakers are most curious about is whether or not these products actually help people. And as it turns out, CASAA has a growing collection of testimonials. I want to say that we only have just over 4,000 testimonials. That's still a lot. But considering the millions of people in this country that use these products, we should have tons more. So, promoting our testimonials projects to your friends and people you see at the vape shop and vape meets and so on would be fantastic. And of course, we'll link to that in the description of this podcast.
I had a vendor contact us wanting to know about vendor memberships. I'm like, we don't really have them. It's free, but we're a consumer group. And he's like, well, how can I don't have a lot of money, but how can I support you? And I said, well, could print off some CASAA material, put it in your store, send it out in your orders. That's huge. That's huge for us. Making people aware of who we are and what we do is really huge. So even the thing you think would matter least is huge in terms of support for what we can do going forward for you. So just food for thought, I guess.
Yeah, and if there's any encouragement that vendors need to, this is this should be an easy conversation. I think, I went to my preferred brick and mortar today. I only get to visit him like once every 3 months, I guess, but because I have to drive out there. But I watched him have a conversation with a returning customer, and she was explaining how she was the heavy smoker in her group of friends, and she went back, and out of all the people that she hangs out with, she was the least likely to quit smoking, and of course she switched to vaping. And now everybody on her block has switched to vaping, and they all get together and they talk about it and they have fun. And she just stood there and told her I watched that verbal testimony, that everybody has. And at the end of it, he reached out and gave her a CASAA card and said, "Here, you need to join this and tell everybody on the block." So it's a really easy conversation, and it's really important. You own a store, so you've got yourself, your your wife, your husband, your business partner, whoever. You've got your staff. It's 2, 3, 5 people, whatever. So there's 7 people right off the bat that you can just have them join our list and get our alerts. And then you've got the hundreds of thousands of customers that walk through your door every month. And that's huge. That participation and engagement is worth more than $1 or $100.
I really agree. I mean, and I think people don't realize how important that word of mouth is. You know, it really it's really the one thing I've noticed about this community. Word of mouth, not what happens on Facebook or whatever, can make or break you. It really can. And I'm talking about as a vendor or as a vaping personality or whatever. That can make or break you. And it's huge when someone can say this group is doing good things or they're trying to do good things. You should support them. And we want to do more. We want to do more to help you. It's what it's all about. It's not about us. So, so I guess that seems like it's it for this week.
It's a short one. We're going to start getting into this conversation about what people can be doing in the off season soon. It's July. I believe there's a handful of states that are still in session. And of course, we've got these weird special sessions that are going to be problematic. So, for those folks whose state has adjourned early, I guess, there are conversations you can have with your lawmakers in the off season. And to be honest, a lot of that includes your personal story. So,
Exactly. If you haven't already submitted a testimonial, please submit one at testimonials@CASAA.org, or you can just go to the front page of CASAA.org that has been reorganized. And you can...
I wouldn't say reorganized, but...
Well,
I made some text brighter.
It's been reordered a bit. Is that better?
That's overstating it.
Okay, well, stuff's been moved up front so you can see it.
There you go. That works.
Dust it off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So you can find all that information at CASAA.org. We're on Twitter as CASAA Media, YouTube as CASAA Media, Facebook as the official CASAA page, which would be, I guess, the page for CASAA.org, and the We Are CASAA group. Come on down and join the conversation. We'd love to talk to you. And join CASAA if you've not already done so. It's free for you, and it helps us help you. Thank you, Alex. Have a great night.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.